What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of On the Record, the Fat Records fan podcast, where we're going album by album, side by side, and roughly chronologically through the whole damn catalog. I'm one of your hosts, Alex, the disembodied voice, if you're watching, joined by Ben and Josh. And today's record, we are talking about Bracket's Novelty Forever. Let's go through the liner notes, boys. Novelty Forever was released on September 23rd, 1997. The lineup was Marty Grigori on guitar and vocals, Zach Charlos on bass and vocals, Ray Castro on drums, and Larry Tinney on guitar. It was recorded at Motor Studios, Prairie Sun Recording Studios, and mixed at Motor Studios. Recorded by Ryan Green, as always. Vocals recorded by Joe Marquez. I guess that means that the vocals were recorded separately? I'm not really sure. Produced by Brackett, Ryan Green, and Fat Mike. And written by Brackett.
It could have been the case that Joe Marquez was like behind the boards when they were recording for just the vocals.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, those could have been recorded elsewhere.
Right. So, let's get into this record. Really, just as we discussed on E is for Everything on Fat Records, Brackett definitely sticks out when it comes to the Fat lineup in 1997. It's definitely more of a power pop influenced.
Yeah, even I would even say radio, to be honest.
Oh, you think they have like a radio?
I think so. I think they got that much of a I think there's so many like hooks and melodies on this record.
They could have been on 90s alt rock radio. I could see.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I could if things had gone differently for this band, I could have seen them on like those like local radio station like package summer jam show type things.
Yeah,
like E06 and Bush and Dishwaller or whoever the fuck.
Can you imagine Brackett alongside any of those bands? Because I can't.
Brackett out there covering Counting Blue Cars.
I will say the production on this record is really good. It's definitely got a lot more flourishes happening than the previous material. There's a lot of effects used here, and I think they're all used really well too. Maybe I guess you could maybe say some of it's a bit of a gimmick, a novelty, but
wow,
yeah. Hey, it's true though.
Fair is fair.
Yeah, and I think Bracket's whole aesthetic is just, I mean, it's like bitter, sarcastic melancholy.
Yeah,
covered in a candy shell. So I'm here for it. I don't know about you guys, but let's get into it and see what you thought. We'll just start with the lead off track, Last Day Sunday. I think it's a good track. I like the theme of it. It's about dying and kind of loving it. I don't know. He seems like he's totally like he's loving the fact that he's dying and that everybody is sad about it.
It's a great opener. I love that they play in the very beginning with the left and right channels. If you listen to the headphones, the audio kind of jumps between the left and right a little bit. Reminds me of when like Circle Jerks did it back in the day with Coup d'etat, with a push from the left and a shove to the right.
Oh yeah, I love anytime a band does that, it is usually like a cool effect. You can definitely overdo it, but I think it's used pretty well here.
Yeah, if you can find a unique way to use it, I think it adds a lot to a song. A lot of great vocal melodies in here too, which is like a thing for this band. I think they always nail those moments.
Yeah. My favorite line from this song is, "I'll leave my insecurities to the ones who always doubted me." Like he's just like leaving his insecurities as his will. This guy fucking loves a pity party. Let me tell you.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Well.
It always seems kind of like tongue-in-cheek pity party, though.
Yeah,
It does, yeah. It never quite feels like pitiful, like it,
Yeah.
no pun intended.
well, that's where the sarcasm element seems to come into play almost every single time.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Ben?
I think it was a strong choice for an opener.
Absolutely.
It's really good. It's a really good bracket song. Very bouncy, but also kind of grungy. I think these lyrics are some of the better lyrics on the album. I kind of feel like that is where this album takes a big step back compared to E is for Everything. Is that the song lyrics got much less interesting. And you know, there's a couple songs like this, and we'll talk about the Evil Bean later, where I think they still have that kind of like fun vibe.
Yeah.
But the fun vibe seems to be gone on this record.
It really, really does. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Like it pops up in moments and like it shines through here and there, but like it kind of feels way more subdued this time around.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely seems like the lyrics are maybe less of a focus this time around.
Big step forward musically, though. I agree with
absolutely.
everything. I agree with everything you said about like the sound of this record. It sounds excellent.
Yeah, it really holds up. It feels like there's like enough going on that you can come back to it and always notice new things about it. All right, let's move on to the second track, Three Gardens.
This one didn't. Oops, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
This one didn't do a lot for me. I'll be honest. Like it starts off really strong, and then this song kind of hits, and it just sort of plods around, and it didn't really do much for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's decent.
Like it's fine. It just kind of makes its way through, but there doesn't feel like certain songs on here feel like they start to bore me, and then they'll pull something fun out, or like they'll throw a fun arrangement in or something. And this song doesn't feel like it has any sort of. There's nothing for me to like latch onto in it, you know.
Yeah, I totally hear you. What do you think of this one, Ben?
I think the song was good. I think it's a bit slower, but I kind of like it. It's got like a sludgy pop feeling to it. So yeah, lyrics weren't as fun as the last record.
Yeah, so it's called Three Gardens, and he mentions three different kinds, like in each verse. Basically, he has the restful garden, then he switches to secret garden, and then selfish garden. I mean, I couldn't really quite figure out what he was getting at. Is that like just his emotions, he's the different stages of his soul? I don't know. Has anybody here read or watched the movie The Secret Garden? Because I haven't, so I don't know if it's like a reference to that in some way or what.
It all culminated in Savage Garden, the greatest pop duo of all time.
That was mainly a children's movie, I think. Secret Garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Or like something for like grandparents to take their kids to.
It was
I think like
one of the stories that was like a fable, and like Disney eventually like took it and was like, we own this now. Like they just decided.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about whatever that was. So, yeah, I couldn't quite figure out what exactly he was getting at on that one.
I like obtuse, but this is way too obtuse.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit obtuse. What's not obtuse is the next song, The Evil Bean, which I really like.
Oh, The Evil Bean rules. The Evil Bean
Great
rules.
song.
Yeah. With The Evil Bean in mind, let's take a second and switch to coffee mode. So, put on your sunglasses and your beret, kick back, kick on some jazz, and let's talk coffee. Do you guys really love coffee as much as I do?
I do not. I'm not a coffee guy. I'll fuck with like a chai. I'll fuck with like a chai latte. I think that's really good. But yeah, that's about as close as I get. And all that is like breakfast. That's just breakfast horchata anyway. So I mean, it doesn't even really count.
Breakfast horchata. Okay.
I mean, honestly, let's call it what it is.
Sure.
On the days I have to drive in to work, the only way that I get myself like out of bed is knowing that I'm gonna get coffee on the way. A big, tall, large iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Nothing else in it, just black iced coffee.
Yes.
I usually drink I like drinking a decent amount.
One of my favorite coffee related stories, a friend of mine, when he first got very, very deeply into coffee and now like runs a little coffee business on his own on the side. When he was first getting into it, bought cold brew concentrate and did not realize that it was concentrate and was just drinking it like it was cold brew and could not figure out why he was like having panic attacks every day. And then went home and looked at the bottle and realized it said concentrate real small. I was like, all right, well, I'm learning. I didn't know they made it this way.
That is unfortunate for him, but
It
man.
seems like a real wild ride.
Yeah,
just drinking, just riding that concentrate cold brew dragon, baby.
Yeah, he was probably just having a real wild time.
Dude.
I'm coffee. If I have a religion, it's coffee. I must have coffee in the morning. I take it very seriously, even though most days I just use my little cheap ass Mr. Coffee machine. Lagwagon represent. But I do also have a fancy ass Chemex.
I was gonna say I knew you had an AeroPress or something in that apartment. I hit everything. I feel like it comes with an apartment out there. They just give you one.
Oh God, no. I do pour overs. It's pretty wonderful. Black coffee only. If you put oat milk or sugar or any of that shit in your coffee, I mean, I just respect you a little bit less. But
yeah, just get some almond. Just get some almond coffee. Yeah, that's the only thing oat milk is good for.
Oh, dude, oat milk. All joking aside, I just can't do it. It just doesn't.
I like almond milk. I can't do the oat milk.
It's a weird aftertaste of some kind.
I dig it. I can dig it in coffee. It's the only time I've ever had it and actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. No thanks.
So speaking of Chemex, I feel like this is a perfect time to unload my story about my Chemex. The last time I used it, I've never touched one since this happened. So it was like
traumatic.
5:30 a.m.
A real traumatic incident.
Oh yeah, it involves the emergency room.
Jesus Christ, I was kidding, but holy cow! All right.
5:30 a.m. I'm getting up, gonna go to work in 2-3 hours. I'm one of those people that has to get up multiple hours before you actually leave the house. And so I'm making pour over coffee, and the way I was typically doing it was, not heating the water up to a specific temperature, just getting the water boiling, rolling boil on the stove. And so I had just poured the hot water over the ground beans, and I realized I needed to move the Chemex. And it was kind of filled up to the top. And so I pick it up to move it without thinking, and then it spills over the top, falls on my hand, and I just look down and see skin like just peeling back, like melting away. And
horrendous.
I start freaking out. I realize I need medical attention immediately. Drive to the urgent care that was next door to me, and it wasn't clear that they were open. So I immediately just drive down the street to the emergency room that was like a mile down the street. Luckily, I lived very close to all these things, and received medical attention. They definitely thought I was trying to get opiates, so I didn't get any pain medication. I mean, they gave me like Tylenol.
Sure, yeah, extra strength or something.
And it was definitely a second-degree burn when I looked up what burns, are, what different burns look like. They wrote it down as first degree, and the reason they did that was so that they didn't have to give me any actual pain medication for it, which Because from what I understand, typically second degree usually warrants that. I mean, I wouldn't have really used it, but it would have been nice in the like immediate aftermath to
Yeah,
have something that would let the
a
pain
little bit of
subside.
relief.
But yeah, that is why I don't do pour over coffee anymore. It was very traumatizing.
Jesus, yeah, I was totally kidding, and then you could come out with a horrible story like that.
Well,
That
shit.
does not sound fun.
Evil bean indeed. Well, that's not the coffee house vibe I was looking for. But the song itself is also really fun. It's fittingly a pretty like bouncy song.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
reminds me of, I mentioned it before, like they sound like a lot of their songs sound like they could be like TV themes, and that's definitely one of those. This is definitely one of those bouncier songs like that.
It's very sing-songy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see it opening some show about like four people who open a coffee house called like Poor Choices, but it's POUR because they work in a coffee house. It's all like young, hip, funny people.
Oh my god, dude, you just like wrote a pilot script right there.
I just wrote a 1997 hit NBC show. I just
You
got to
really
figure out
did.
a way to get back to 97.
I don't know about hit. That sounds like the one
Look,
that
buddy,
it
at
sounds
least
like
3 seasons.
oh, it sounds like the kind that usually cancel like halfway through the second.
This is like if Four Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place was a hit, like a bona fide hit. I'd be like, I'd easy 3 seasons out of it.
Did
What
you
did
say
you-
2 guys, 4 girls at a pizza place? Was that the name of that?
Yeah, I might have gotten the title wrong. It was that show Ryan Reynolds was on, like well before he was famous. 2 guys, yeah, 2 guys, a girl, in a pizza place. I think that's what
Okay.
it was called.
It's a weird porno name.
I know.
But wait, what did you call it again? The coffee shop?
Poor Choices,
Poor Choices.
POUR.
Okay. Well, or you could do Poor Habit.
No, I don't think I will. not for as long as possible.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got the chorus of the song does have a really nice hook to it. It gets stuck in my head. And I do really like the lyrics on this one a lot because I think it's universal that people, commune around coffee. And I think it's funny that you call it the evil bean, and I think it's because you just have like this, you're almost predisposed to like meet up for coffee and then sit there and bitch and moan about life.
Right.
And it's great.
Well, it's also like the evil being, like, just, I need I can't live without my coffee kind of a thing too.
It's true. It's a dark mistress. It will ride you. If you don't have it, you're kind of screwed. Man, days that I am not able to drink coffee, which are very rare, but man, they are hell if I can't get coffee until like way late into the day or something.
Oh, I'm sure.
My head just starts really hurting. So that must be normal, right? Just
Yeah, I think that's healthy.
it's not a drug,
Doesn't seem like an issue, really.
right? Yeah. All right, let's move on to "Don't Tell Miss Fenley." I like this one. This is like a one where the lyrics are just like nothing.
Yeah.
Is it just like it's just about poisoning a teacher? It seems to be.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like the Oppenheimer situation where he like
Oh yeah, the apple.
he like injected poison into the apple, and then eventually came in and stopped. Like the details on like how the guy didn't die from it are all very hazy, which leads to a lot of
Yeah,
people
it's kind of a
wondering.
vague story. I was surprised they put
but-
it in the movie.
Yeah, apparently family was not happy about that, but like
Yeah,
that
I can understand that.
that story was in the biography though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not like an untold story or anything. I mean, it's pretty commonly known.
the family insists that he never
Since
did
we're talking
it.
about it so much, can you recap the story real quick?
Okay. So in American Prometheus, and as well in the movie Oppenheimer, he is just feeling terrible. Like he's at school in England, and he's just not doing well mentally. and his professor, I don't know, says something to him, criticizes something, and
The guy's like particularly hard on him, just like kind of in general.
And so he grabs a syringe, like fills it up with some sort of chemical that would be lethal.
It's something like
and-
strychnine or something. Yeah, real bad.
Dang.
And then
Hardcore.
sticks it into the apple and injects the apple, and then leaves it there. And then the differing accounts here are that he got it before the professor, took a bite out of it, or the professor took a small bite, but he smacked it away. He ends up getting in trouble for it. Like, I think, if not kicked out of school, he was suspended for a while. He like this song really plays out like, that story. And I had to look up, the biography didn't come out until 2005, and I'm not sure if that story was very widely known before the biography. But I was wondering if this song had been written after he had read the biography or something.
It's interesting, actually. I wouldn't even had considered that. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe he just hates somebody named Miss Fenley. But yeah, overall, I like this song. But it's it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, it didn't do a lot for me. The riff
yeah.
feels extremely familiar, but I can't quite place who or what it reminds me of.
Yeah. My favorite part is the solo that's in the middle where that guitar sort of like
Yes.
it wails and then it like moves into the vocals that have the first appearance of this effect that they use on a few different tracks in this record, where like Marty's vocals kind of sound like he's like almost like underwater or something. It's like
It's like a reverby kind of.
right, like a garbled sort of like effect to it. But it's a cool effect. And I actually like I think they use it like 3 times throughout the record, and I think that each time it's used pretty well. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it's cool. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
Okay. Now, we're moving on to what is easily the best song. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's not even close. And I will, if you disagree with me, this podcast is over. This is one of my absolute favorite songs by any band. I can listen to this song anytime, and if it comes on, I will not turn it off. I will sit there and listen to the rest of it. Sour is just like such a fantastic song. It's
Dude,
like
catchy as all hell.
One of the best power pop songs I've ever heard. It's just like every part of it is so memorable. The very first time I heard it, I just like I couldn't believe how good it was. And
it gets stuck in my head a bunch.
So
this song is everything that this band does really well in one song. Like, it's super catchy. It's got the vocal hooks. It's got the guitar solos. Everything that makes this band cool, they managed to cram into this one song.
Yeah, it's got it all, including cowbell. So
I didn't even notice that. That's a good catch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a flawless song. And then lyrically, I like the lyrics too. To me, this reads as someone gaslighting him, but he seems to be like into it, and he's like playing into it so that he can be close to them, which is pretty toxic. But like that seems to be what's happening, because he's like, some of the lyrics are, he says, "Keep me sanitized, leave me sterilized, give me all the blame so I can be ashamed, and cut me down to size, tell me a white lie. I just want to land in the palm of your hand." Like, to me, it seems like he's like, yeah, I'm into it. What do you guys think?
I mean, it sounds right to me.
Yeah, I mean, the punchline to that though is that it all leaves a sour taste in his mouth.
Right.
It's I'm just thinking about like somebody you have to interact with
Mm-hmm. Oh,
a
okay.
lot
Yeah.
who is shitty to you, but like you have to keep interacting with them, and so like you this is you're just like, yeah, okay, you were right, I was wrong. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah, like a fucked up coworker or something.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe not because that "you hate me, I love you."
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Near the end.
That's my rebuttal too. I don't know. It's interesting. I definitely seems pretty toxic though.
Yeah.
All right. Any more thoughts on Sour?
Just as it rules.
It rules, indeed. Okay. Let's talk about the last track on side 1. Back to Allentown. Ben, you've been to Allentown. Do you want to go back?
Yeah, so what I wrote was, why the fuck would anyone want to go back to Allentown? Though I gotta say, I would probably go back to go to Dorney Park for a day, the amusement park there. As you know, and if it's a nice summer day, I could even see myself going to Wild Water Kingdom, their water park. Though I would highly suggest not going in the wave pool there. Seems like a
I would
good
highly
place to
suggest not
get.
going into a wave pool anywhere. I feel like that's just not a wise decision, no matter where you're at.
You know, children, sometimes adults, shit in those things. So
Yeah, it's just one big human toilet.
and it's gonna be hard for people to fish that turd out because it's a wave
Ugh.
pool. So
Just riding turd waves. Ugh.
Oh
uh,
man. That's a good image.
and the Lehigh Valley has some okay things in it. The general area around Allentown. But I have no idea why somebody would be that desperate to get back to Allentown.
Did you guys ever watch
Yeah.
Pete and Pete growing up? Because that's what this song reminds me of. It has this kind of like weird, like small town wandering vibe to it. And it made me think of like the aesthetic of that show.
That's interesting. I somehow understand that. I mean, I watched a lot of Pete and Pete when I was a kid.
And I mean, that was a show that had a lot of like music cues and stuff. Obviously, tons of bands showed up on that show over the years. Iggy Pop was like a character on it for one thing.
Whoa, really? I don't remember that.
I believe so. Yeah. Well, I think it was Iggy Pop was a character on that show.
Whoa, that's wild.
I have to double check myself now, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be like a really weird TV show to revisit and kind of try and remember.
Dude,
what it
yeah,
was
as an
like.
adult, I feel like that show would be completely different than what you experienced as a kid.
Yeah. That's an interesting call out. Yeah, this one is definitely we like to talk about a cooldown tracks. This is definitely a cooldown track. It really slows things down. I think it's a kind of an odd way to close out the side of the record. It's just like it's just such a weird vibe shift. But it's a decent song. It's one of the ones that I don't like as much. But the harmonies are nice. They do some good
Yeah.
harmonies here.
Yeah, I looked up Iggy Pop plays Mr. Mecklenburg on Pete and Pete, who is a character named Nona's dad.
That's crazy.
And yeah, at one point he sings on stage at one point with Luscious Jackson as his backing band.
Wow. Pete and Pete, even cooler than I remembered.
For sure.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, my favorite line in this song is "You don't matter as much as you think," because that's pretty harsh.
Very much so.
But yeah, I don't know the lyrics. He seems like maybe he's just talking about returning to a place where he felt like he belonged, but he got pushed out and maybe can't go back. I don't know. Because why would you want to go back to Allentown?
It's maybe a place too he just kind of grew out of and like wishes you could go back to that moment in time too.
Yeah, he just wants to go back to that wave pool and get hit in the face.
Oh,
Just waves.
the disgusting wave pool.
All right. That's the end of side 1. So let's take a break and do a little Q&A. In the theming of the title of the record, do y'all have any novelty memorabilia that you would like to share?
So I was gonna try and find some of the weirder. I collect comic books, and I was trying to try and find some of the weirder, like I collect like weird appearances, like David Letterman's in an issue of the Avengers, and like there's an old Jimmy Olsen comic that has Don Rickles in it. I was gonna try and pull those out. I couldn't find those, but I do collect. I like buying weird foreign versions of comics. So I found this like these digest sized Death of Superman reprints from Croatia.
Oh,
and it's like
that's definitely weird.
All black and white and stuff, and like reprints of the the 90s story. And it's just kind of neat to see like the different lettering, obviously like different lettering in another language, but like just the way it's like handled in other countries, like to get these cool little like budget reproduction like digest things is really neat to me.
That's cool. Definitely the I mean I love the really oddball celebrity cameos in comics.
Yes,
because like,
dude, there's so many cool. I have an issue of Count Duckula with Geraldo Rivera, which is real weird because like Count Duckula is a UK character, so that's even stranger to me.
Wow. Like, I guess my question is, can't you just like draw whoever you want? Like, can you like do?
Well, like the Geraldo one's him, like straight photo. Like it's legitimately him. I'll find the cover and send it to you. It's great.
Now that's amazing. So it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with the worst people imaginable.
Exactly. But yeah, I think for the most part, like you're right. You can just kind of draw whoever you want into something as long as you're not, making them do some horrendously libelous thing or something.
Exactly. Yeah, as long as it's not like really nasty.
Yeah, I'm a total sucker for those weird appearances and stuff. There's an X-Men comic where they go to like the Texas State Fair and they meet the Dallas Cowboys. Like I love weird shit like that. I think it's really funny.
Ben, how about you? You got any novelty stuff?
So I think the only novelty stuff I have are Cincinnati Reds bobbleheads. I do not like having excess stuff.
Yes.
And so I often feel like I still have too much stuff, but like I don't really collect. I mean, I sort of collect books, but at this point, but like not really, even. And so I don't know. I've moved a lot in my adult life, and
yeah, that'll make you want to cut down on shit real quick.
Absolutely.
Every time I move, I'm just reminded of how painful it is to have stuff. So I try not to keep it.
Throwing a little bit more away every time.
Yeah. Well, this is exactly why I like at least once a year. Usually, it's probably ends up happening at least twice a year. Actually, I just comb through all my shit and just like, what can I get rid of? What do I
just do a purge?
Yeah, like it is one of the greatest feelings that you can possibly get. It's just like it'll make you feel.
It is
high.
A very like freeing feeling. You're right.
It's like realizing that, like, because like it's so easy for people to get into that trap of just like, oh, this person gave me this thing, or I have this memory attached to this thing. Like,
right.
No, just take a picture of it and throw the thing away, or
just
give it away.
I mean, you're always going to remember the story, so it's not like that memory goes anywhere.
Yeah. I always those thoughts always come to me, but I have I mean, I'm sure I shouldn't say never here, but I feel like I never have regretted getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
far, knock on wood.
it's
Yeah.
on the of all the things that I've gotten rid of, which is a lot of stuff. Because again, I'm with you. Like I haven't moved as much as you have been, but I've definitely moved a good number of times now, especially living in Los Angeles. Um, but yeah, you definitely you get rid of a lot of stuff, and there's maybe been one instance where I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have got rid of that. But it's not. I can't even think of anything specifically, so probably not.
Yeah, any instances I've ever had that issue, it's never been anything that I couldn't replace.
Yeah.
Or I
Yeah.
couldn't go have to purchase again or whatever.
Yeah. And as far as I go, as far as novelty things, I got maybe what you might consider a couple some novelty T-shirts that are when I say, I guess you could even maybe consider band T-shirts novelty shirts, but I tend to think of novelty as maybe almost like a something that references like a TV show or something. So I've got I have an Arrested Development Bluth Company T-shirt.
Nice.
I'm
Is that
actually
the one with a stair car on it?
no, it's literally just the Bluth Company logo.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
I have a Festivus T-shirt from Seinfeld. It just says Festivus for the rest of us. And it's unfortunate that my video is not working tonight because I know Ben loves I Think You Should Leave, but have you watched any of it, Josh?
I've seen enough of the skits to know that I like it. I've just never sat down to watch it.
Yeah. Ben, have you watched season 3 yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have the T-shirt that I have that I'm wearing right now is the it's the itemized receipt from the skit where he's doing the going to the drive-through.
I was gonna say, is it the
Forward.
fast food bit?
Yeah. So my T-shirt
55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 hot dogs.
Yeah, it's 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 tacos, 55 pies, 55 Cokes. It's like all these things. And that's literally all that's on the T-shirt.
When
Why?
he hauls ass out of that drive-through and whips her back around is one of the funniest things ever.
So good.
So I love that. My favorite part of that one is at the very end when he when he suddenly realizes that he could run. Like, I could have run. It reminds me of the sketch from season 2 where they do the credit card roulette.
Oh yeah.
And the guy from what is it? Search Party says, I should have lied.
Oh, that show is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I watched it again recently. All of season 3 at least. I don't know. I watched it quite a bit. Now your mentioning of T-shirts did remind me. So I would definitely think brand T-shirts for brands that are would not normally have a T-shirt, I guess, or beer company T-shirts, right? I have a couple of those.
Yeah, you got the Hootie Delight one, right?
I've got the Hootie Delight one where you cannot read the Hootie Delight part at all. It's just a very comfortable T-shirt, so I like wearing it.
Nice.
And then I have a Little King shirt as well.
Oh wow.
Oh hell yeah!
Beer shirts are novelty. I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? If anybody listening has Marlboro gear or even Camel gear, like the cigarette clothing that you
Camel
got
Cash was the shit, dude.
for sending in tabs, it was like the box top thing, but for smokers.
Oh, Camel straight up gave you fake currency. It was like a dollar bill that had Camel Joe on it.
Yeah,
or
I
Joe
remember
Camel
seeing those.
I had a lot of Camel Cash gear.
Nice.
That is some of the coolest novelty memorabilia
Dude, some
on
of the
planet.
best, some of the best white trash the world has to offer is in those catalogs. Just the greatest gear ever.
Like everybody looks very cool in a Marlboro T-shirt.
Everyone in those catalogs is ready to raise hell and praise Dale. Every single one of them.
I don't know how we can top that. So we're gonna move on to side 2, where we start with a little Q&A. So my favorite part of this song, and I've noticed, like, as I listen to this record over and over again, that in pretty much every case, almost every single one of these songs has a really great bridge.
Yeah.
They just like it's like that's where they got to feel like the most creative or something. I don't know what is going on. It's like they have like a serious knack for it. They're just like, oh man, we're doing the bridge. Let's just do something crazy. But I don't know. It's they always got a memorable bridge in pretty much every one of these tracks. And so this is another one of those songs where during the bridge they do that same effect that they did on "Don't Tell Miss Fenley," where he sounds
Yeah.
kind of garbled and stuff. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just the sequencing on this record's a little funny because like there's so many slower like mid-tempo songs.
Yeah.
That this feels kind of lost in the shuffle because it's sandwiched between two other like pretty closely like songs that are very similar in tempo. Like it just sort of feels like it blends in a little bit.
I think that's probably the real failing of the record. I think that I'll say overall, I do really like the record. Like I like a lot of these songs quite a bit, but you know, I think it does kind of suffer from the fact that there isn't enough, like, I guess, variation in terms of the pacing.
Like they pepper stuff into every song, like I said, to keep things pretty fresh here and there, but it does start to feel a little samey with the mid tempo stuff.
Yeah. Ben, what'd you think of this one?
So I wrote not good, not exactly bad. I wasn't super into this song. I kind of feel like what you guys are talking about, that sameness really starts to show up on the second half. And like I don't know if the second half is really, you know, that bad in terms of it, but like once you get to some of those later songs, it's like, all right, you've done this already. You know, there's a loss of energy.
I would agree completely.
Too, yeah.
Yeah. I guess I don't really quite feel that way, but I can understand it though. I think it really comes down to the pacing of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think had this record been sequenced just a little bit differently, I think it would have kept the energy levels up a little more because you can kind of.
They needed like one or two more like fast songs.
Yeah, one or two songs more like, you know, Sour or The Evil Being, like something, a couple more tracks like that to keep things a little more light.
Yeah, I agree. And then like lyrically, little Q&A, like I just couldn't quite figure out what this song was actually about. You know, at one point he says lost in sobriety, and so I just thought maybe without drugs or alcohol, he's kind of struggling to find a purpose in life, which, I mean, it's pretty grim. But yeah, it was another kind of obtuse lyric.
Yeah, I was wondering if the songs aren't necessarily as fun as they had been in the past because he got sober, or they all got sober. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. Okay, let's move on to One More Hangover Day, Warren's song part 7. This is one of my favorites from the record. I really like the guitars a lot.
Yeah, the guitar leads in this are really great.
Yeah, because it's like it does something different here. That's like they use sort of like more of like a clean, jangly sound, which is nice because it breaks things up in a different way. And I kind of wish that they had used it a little bit more across the record.
There's also, the song also has like a full on 70s rock bit in it. It feels like too.
Yeah,
like a 70s rock breakdown.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, it's really.
I would
great.
take a whole like if they were just like we're gonna do a whole album of 70s worship, I would be all in. I would listen to
Oh yeah,
every album they did.
that's actually a really great idea. I wish they would do that. But yeah, this one's got a really like great melody to it. Yeah, it's got like a because they do sort of like I think it's like after every verse they have almost like a sort of more of an extended musical break for like a little bit
Yeah,
longer than usual, which is pretty cool.
like a little weird little palate cleanser kind of.
Yeah, it's cool. Um, and then like lyrically, this song's sort of almost like the other side of the coin from the previous one, where he's like talking about sleeping through one more hangover. Um, I do like the line "Your daylight's not my cup of tea."
That
It
is
just
cool.
it just sounds like he's just getting fucking hammered at night and then just sleeping
Right.
straight through the day. Just because he's just like, hey, I don't want to see sunlight. Get out of here.
It does give you memories of that feeling of like waking up after a particularly rough night, like at 10 or 11, and like the sun's like beating through the window,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh god, like just draw the curtain and move to like a different position in the bed so the sun's not beating on your face.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go right back to sleep for another couple hours.
Any thoughts on this one, Ben?
Yeah, I thought the song was all right. Yeah, not much more to say.
Let's talk about "I Won't Mind." It's again, this is like another. They must have just been like having a lot of fun with the production side of things because like the way this song starts is just so odd. It's like that like thwip sound effect. It's just like it's like a drum beat or something. I don't know what's going on, but like it just doesn't show up anywhere else, and it's just
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
the only time you hear it on the whole record.
right. It's just kind of odd, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
It seemed like a little more of one of the more like darker songs, like more depressing songs on the record. It felt like at times too.
Yeah, he's dude sounds like he's got like a serious chip on his shoulder.
Another good solo though. Another like really cool, interesting guitar solo.
Yeah.
They every time they're like, it's getting a little boring. Somebody pull out a good solo, and every time they do,
Yeah. It must have been their favorite thing. They're just like, "Oh, I got one little piece. I got one line. It can't be a whole song. We'll just use it here."
they just got just a backlog of like guitars. So pull a B42.
Yeah.
Let me listen to that one.
Um, what'd you think, Ben?
You know, not a bad song, but again, I kind of feel like there's just some missing energy with this song.
Yeah, I mean this isn't one of the better ones. I'll agree. Okay, let's move on to Optimist. This is one of another one of my favorites from the record. And this is the one where they take that weird effect that they were doing on Miss Fenley and Little Q&A, and they just turn it into a whole song. Like he just used the effect throughout the entire song. And
That bass intro goes hard, man. I
yeah,
really like it.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the song a lot. And it's because the structure of it is a little bit different because it's like broken up with like stops and starts, and it's
Yeah,
punctuated with those
it feels a
harmonized.
little like feels a little crunchier than a lot of the other songs too.
Yeah.
Something about it, like it, the song just feels like it's a little, like just a little extra bite to it.
Yeah. And then of course it's called Optimist, and we know by now this band doesn't seem to do optimism.
No,
So
yeah,
it is
that's not
definitely a
the
sarcastic title.
not the name of the game by any means.
Yeah. What do you think of this
Um,
one, Ben?
yeah, I think that the song is about optimists, rather than about being optimistic themselves.
Right.
Uh, I thought that this was, definitely the best song on the second half of the record.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Really good song. The Trace My Silver Lining part, the chorus gets stuck in my head quite a bit too.
Oh yeah, that's a good hook. I like that one. Okay, let's talk about Drama Queen. Um, I like how this one alternates between quiet and then like it ramps up into like
I
the
do too.
heavier, crunchier riffs, which is one of the reasons why, like, I think that one of our rival records is such a good comparison to this one, because one of these records does that a lot. But you definitely see that used to good effect on Drama Queen.
Yeah.
But ultimately, not one of my highlights from the record, but it's a decent song. I like it.
It reminds me of E06, as weird as that sounds. Like, this is one of the songs I think of when I think about like how I said they could have definitely had like a run as like a radio band. Because it kind of feels like it has that sort of similar aesthetic as like bands like Eve Six and some of the other acts around that time had, with like that stop start and like the the clean singing, crunchy guitar chorus kind of back and forth. Like it just has it's got that kind of a vibe to it to me.
Yeah, it's like I can think of what Eve 6 sounded like, but it's really just the one song, because I just don't.
That's pretty much my reference point. Other than I've listened to the album, but I don't. It didn't stick particularly well for me.
What was the name of that one song? Was it Inside Out?
Yeah, that was the album with like the fly on the cover.
Is that what
I think it might have actually been the title of the album too. Now that I think about it,
was it? Okay, yeah, I was wondering if that was like the name of the song, right?
Yeah, and there's some great drums at the end of that song too. At the end of this song, rather.
Is that Eve 6 song the "Wanna Put My Tender Heart in a Blender"?
Yep.
Song?
Yeah, the one where he's sitting in a diner and getting rained on, and there's the girl on her skates, and it's all very strange.
I love singing that at karaoke.
Dude, yeah, people love that. That's a staple wherever you go.
That, and I'm my favorite are the women that get real excited to sing Buck Cherry's "Crazy Bitch."
Oh God.
It's you hardly ever see a man do it, but like
No.
women are all about singing that song.
They're taking it back.
So I kind of have a story in my head about the lyrics to this song, which is that the narrator is aware of how unself-aware they appear to the people around them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will you please stop calling me the drama queen? And then that's followed by, lots of drama queen type behavior.
Absolutely.
And so like in my head, like this person's like, I want my way, I have my say, and will you please stop calling me the drama queen? Like they know that they're a drama queen, but like,
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think this is definitely one of the strongest in terms of the lyrics. I really like the lyrics to this song, especially that first verse. He says, "Hearsay, there say, conversation is wearing through. Crying too loud, my temper's turning black and blue. I will digest your flattery, then starve to death. I should ingest recovery in silence." I just think that's some really fun wordplay happening there.
For sure.
But yeah, it was definitely one of the stronger ones as far as the lyrics go. It feels like older bracket to me.
Adult bracket, grown up bracket.
Let's talk about the final track, which is not really much of a track, but it is a cool song. Like musically, I think that like it's really short, but I do really like the style to the music. It's like yet another one where I'm just like, wow, like kind of wish this was a whole song. But it's little Q&A.
Yeah, it's a very interesting reinterpretation. Although I kind of wish they would have just done the opening song like in this style. I think I would have really loved that.
Yeah. It's really not what you'd expect as an ending track, but I think it works. It just kind of
I do too.
It's kind of bluesy. Which
it just
cool.
Seems very haphazard that they pick little Q&A out of all the songs on the record.
I don't know. It's cool though. I like it. I mean, I definitely heard worse last songs. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know. I think it's a interesting way to close the record. It's unconventional, just like this band. So
very much so. Very well put.
Yeah. Do you like it, Ben?
it just did not really leave a strong impression with me. I didn't want it, didn't need it.
Okay.
Unnecessary is how I felt about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the record. Let's just talk about our final thoughts on it. Ben, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I think this is a good record by Brackett, but I personally, in terms of my own enjoyment, feel like it was a step back from E is for Everything. Um, I'm kind of curious to see where they go from here, because I don't really remember what a lot of their stuff that like got released. Like, well, we were like younger. They put out that record what in 2005, 2006.
Oh,
Um,
Requiem.
I
That
can't.
one. That one is completely different.
Okay, I can't remember what it sounds
Ooh,
like at all.
It's completely different. It's
wow.
they left Fat Wreck, and so the next record that they do sounds a lot like the one that we're talking about right now. Because they go back to Motor Studios and they have Ryan Green produce it. And I think that comes out in 2000. So that's very much in line with this one.
Mhm.
But after that, I think they do the Live in a Dive, which is a great one. That's one of the
Yeah.
That is a
better.
very good live
It's
in
one
a
of the
dive.
better Live in a Dives. Which Live in a Dive
I
generally.
think it's the first one they put out too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought No Use was the first one they did.
It's one of those two. I thought it was Bracket,
Oh,
but
okay.
it very well could be No Use.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Bracket just because those it was I remember it seeming very weird to me.
Yeah,
Um
I'm sure. I'm almost certain I exclaimed like, "Who? Like, why would you start with this one?"
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. I always thought it was No Use for a Name that they did first.
I think you're right. Um yeah, you are right. I have memory of thinking it was odd that they did a Bracket one, I think, just to
Yeah.
begin with.
It was definitely
That's true.
it probably was like the second one that they did though.
It was second, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Great live record. It's really fantastic.
Yeah.
We're eventually going to talk about that one. But yeah, so Bracket, I think after that they leave Fat Wreck and they kind of do their own thing, and Requiem is just I did not like it at all. It's a completely different kind of record. It's bizarre. Like I remember listening to it and thinking, "What are you doing? You are so much better than whatever this
You're
is."
capable of so much more.
Right.
I might go listen to it
Yeah. I
later.
mean, I would be interested to go back
You're,
to it because
you're hyping it up for me, really, by
Who
telling
put
me
that?
all this
Who put
stuff.
that one out?
I don't even know. They
Huh.
might have even self-released it. I'm not sure.
Check that out.
But um, yeah, Josh, your final thoughts on Novelty Forever?
Largely echoed Ben's. I was a little. I don't want to say let down because I still really enjoyed the record, but after E is for Everything, I thought I was going to enjoy this a lot more than I did. But there's much more mid tempo stuff than I expected. Um, I mean, overall, I liked it. I would say it's like a out of 10. This is like a 6.5 record for me. 7.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. I'm more in line with what Josh is saying. I think that it's definitely good, but it's just maybe a little bit too much mid tempo. Not enough. There's not enough speed to kind of break things up. They have a
And
lot of
honestly, even the sequencing may even play into that. To be honest, I think there's a way you could put this record together
yeah,
that
maybe
maybe makes it flow a little bit better.
yeah. Yeah, that could be part of the problem too. But yeah, I just think that they needed a little bit more like up tempo because they do it
Yeah,
so
I wanted
well.
more like commercial jingle sounding stuff like before.
Yeah.
Need some of that bounce and that hook energy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're so good at it. As
They really
as
are.
evidenced by Sour, which is just like still wow, what a great song.
So good.
But yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot to like about this record, and it's definitely not for it's not a slam dunk for most fans of like the standard Fat Wreck Band. Not even close.
Yeah.
This is a weird release, but I appreciate that Mike put it out. It because I think the Bracket are playing at like a really high level. So he was right to put this out. And the reason I'm putting it that way is because we're about to talk about the rival records, and yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But overall, I think it's a really good record. And if you like power pop and you've never listened to this record for some reason, go listen to it. You'll probably find a lot to like about it.
Mm.
And now, let's talk about rival records. Just some records that came out around the same time as Novelty Forever. And we do something that we'd say is not on Fat Wreck, but technically we're going to talk about Teen Idol's self-titled, which is released through Honest Don's, which is like a sub-label of Fat.
Yeah.
And what I was getting at just a second ago was that Honest Don's is definitely like the minor leagues. If Fat Wreck is the major leagues of of indie punk labels.
My favorite thing is that their sampler comp was called Honest Don's Greatest Shits, and it had a clown taking a shit on the cover. It's one of the greatest memories I have of like early like CD buying, when you would just like you would spend endless money on like $2 and $3 compilation albums. And like I just remember I think it was an Honest Don's and like maybe some Pink and Black bands, which I think was another like Fat imprint.
Yeah.
But it was Honest Don's Greatest Shits, and I want to say it was like a clown shitting in a cereal bowl or something.
I think you're right. I think I do.
I could be wrong, but like it always cracked me up because I clearly am very highbrow and enjoy cultured entertainment,
as we all are. Speaking of highbrow, let's talk about the Teen Idols. Wow. Okay. So, all right.
You wound up agreeing.
I agree. Okay, so this one, I had this record, and I remembered thinking, and I have not listened to it since I was in high school. And so when we were like discussing which records we should do, and I was like, oh, power pop band Bracket, let's do something that's more in that vein. And I was literally just looking at a list of things that came out in 1997, and I saw that this was on it, and I was like, oh, I remember really liking that. Wow, I was wrong. Man, it was. I should have
aged well for you, huh?
Dude, I should have been tipped off when I looked at the track list and was like, I don't remember any of these song titles. Like nothing is jumping out at me as something that I remember. So to give you an idea of what this will sound like if you somehow never heard it, if you're listening to this podcast and you never heard this band, I kind of understand why you'd avoid it. This was recorded by Master Genie and produced by Ben Weasel. So when you think,
it explains so much.
It does explain a lot because you hear you hear their fingerprints all over it.
It sounds like Television City Dream. It's got the drum sound almost the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really put that together, but it definitely has like that sort of late 90s Screeching Weasel sound to it.
Yeah, it's got that real punchy sound to it.
I heard a lot of, like, not a lot, but I heard definitely like there's a few songs here that sound like they're just kind of cribbed from Bad Religion. That just got turned into like a lame pop punk song. Yeah. Another reason why I picked it was because I remembered it had a whole bunch of backing vocals, which Bracket does very well. So I thought, I was like, oh, it's another thing that's kind of have in common. But listening to this record, wow, those backing vocals, they sound the same on almost every single song. Like there's no variation to them whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a very like stylistic, like like I don't even know how to, almost like a punch stamp. Like you just ka-chunk. Here's the backing vocals.
Right. It's almost like oh, the thing that you did, just do it again and again.
Right. Here's where the backing vocals. Here's the hand claps. Here's the like drum roll.
Okay.
It feels very like glued together. Like it feels very like neat and clean and reproduced, I guess.
Definitely. Okay, Ben, you've been silent, and I want to hear what you have to say about this shitty record.
So all those things that you said, Josh, are true, but like, it's also just really badly done.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. It just feels very like put together. Like you can tell, you know.
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of pop punk tropes thrown in.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Like tons of things are just like, oh man, like they're doing that thing, and they're doing that thing a lot.
Yeah.
The hand claps are the one for me that oh, there they are again.
What was coming to my mind as well was like maybe like the best way to describe it is like the Queers if they were really really bad.
Yeah.
So okay,
You just do that with like any band in that genre though. Like it's like Screeching Weasel but bad. It's like it's like Charlie Brown Gets a Valentine but bad.
Sure.
I got through like half of this and I'm just like, oh my god, this is dragging so much. How long is this record? 22 minutes.
Yeah.
What's funny is like
it's
longest 22-minute record I have ever listened
14 tracks. Almost none of them go past the 2-minute mark, and I had the exact same feeling. I was like, I'm listening to it, I was like, is this over yet?
See, it didn't bother me that much on that level, and I don't know if it's just my predilection for junk food, but like it was just like a 22-minute candy bar. It was just like eating, gummy bears or something. It's not a great record. It's not a smart record. It's incredibly dumb, and it's very obviously like glued together. But for some reason, like it's just like 22 minutes of like it's like watching an action movie, but like the pop punk version of it, where like I don't want to listen to any. I'm not going to listen to any of these words. I'm going to ignore all the stupid hand claps, and I'm just going to have fun for like 20 minutes. So like it is dumb and it is bad, but I had fun with it.
That's fair. But man, it was just like I think it's because I was trying to like actively listen to it the first couple of times, and I just like it wore me down.
Yeah. No, I completely get that.
Yeah. And that, all that said, I think there's 3 decent songs here. I think you got a decent pop punk single that they took and pooped out an LP.
Just smeared into a full length.
Yeah. Because I think, the 3 songs that I actually do think are pretty decent is the lead off track, Come Dance With Me. I'm Not the One. That's got a good hook to it. And the song Anybody Else. And
I had that one as well.
And those are the 3 that I could, if those are on a single, I'm walking away going, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if you get an EP like that, you're like, I'm looking forward to this album.
Sure. Like that's like a 6-minute single, and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. That's to take your candy bar metaphor, it's like popping in a bite-sized Snickers.
Hell yeah. Oh, dude, how good is a bite-sized Snickers?
But, this candy bar turns into fucking shit when you talk about the song Peanut Butter Girl, which is like one of the dumbest songs that I have ever heard.
There's some real idiot shit on this record.
That is like a song that if like I can't imagine being this band and having to play that live, and like I would be embarrassed. Like this almost feels like something that they were just like they had the music and they were just like, I don't know what to do lyrically, and then Ben Weasel was like, okay, well maybe it's about a peanut butter girl.
And then she rushes on stage and you punch her.
Yeah.
Wrong song.
Peanut Butter Girl.
Yeah.
As they do.
He likes his women.
Yeah, I liked Anybody Else. I thought was really good. Anybody Else was really good. I thought Tough Guy and Lovely Day were pretty good.
I thought they were all terrible.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Yeah, it was an interesting choice that we made blindly. I don't regret it.
No,
Yeah,
we're
we
having
we
fun.
shouldn't only talk about things we like.
True. Okay, and now we got that out of the way. Let's talk about an actual good record. Um, Knapsack. This conversation is ending starting right now. Um, I love this record. I think this record is really good. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever. I mean, Ben, how do you feel about this one?
So, I think I was just looking at the other LPs, and I think this one might have the most, uh, to borrow a term that the youth use, bangers,
Yeah,
um,
it's got some
on it.
bangers for sure.
This album's got a
Um,
lot of Riz. It's a very
I
Rizzy album.
I think there are songs on the other two that I like more than anything on this.
Oh,
Though
okay.
this record has, I think, one of their best songs on it, which is Arrows to the Action.
That song
Um,
rules.
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
song.
fucking great song. And there's a lot of other good ones on it. Catherine the Grateful, Changes All the Rage, Cold Enough to Break, Skip the Details. Um, and yeah, yeah, those are the ones that immediately stand out to me as ones that I, never skip when it comes up.
Yeah. Um, Josh, how do you feel about this one?
I was really bored by this record, and I thought I was really gonna like it. I think I like the second half better than I like the first half. And I think given enough time, I could probably warm up to this record. But initial sorry, I'm plugging my laptop in. But yeah, my initial handful of listens through it didn't grab me in the way that, like, even the bracket record, like I said, like some of the songs will start to like wander and meander, but they'll pull me back in with a weird bit or like a solo or something. And I feel like I never really got that with this record. It just kind of kept going. I do like the second half more than the first though, and I think Action was it Arrows to the Action and Cinema Stare were the two songs I really liked on this album.
Yeah, so good tracks. Yeah, I mean, this definitely leans more towards the emo indie rock side of things.
Sure.
What's I think when I really think about it and I look at it, I'm just kind of like, all right, well, this kind of it makes sense that I like this record as much as I do, because I'm just a total fanboy for the guitarist Sergei Lukov. Like, we've mentioned him so many times at this point because he was a graphic designer on all these records, and he's guitarist for Sam I Am. I just love the style that he has, and it translates really well to this kind of music as well. And I just think the way that he's put together a lot of these like guitar leads and stuff like that is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I see the appeal of it. I don't think I just think, like I said, given enough time, I certainly think it's something I could probably come around to.
mhm. Um, yeah, and I like Blair Sheehan's vocals a lot too. He's got a good range, and what I think is
Yes.
interesting is that he uses that range in almost every single one of these songs, like individually. Like this band does a lot of the loud, quiet, loud. Um,
Yeah.
and that's what I was hinting at earlier when we were talking about bracket on that was that Drama Queen. Um, yeah, Knapsack does that on almost all of these songs, probably all of them. Um, it's it's cool. Like they definitely explore the whole range. They do a lot of like quiet stuff, and then it gets loud, and they do it
Yeah.
really well. But yeah, Catherine the Grateful. My favorite song is "Shape of the Fear." It's another one of like my favorite songs. Like if it comes on, I will listen to the whole thing. I will not turn it off. Um, but that's a great track. But yeah, I like pretty much every song on this record. Um, It's each one has something interesting going on. It never gets boring to me. I can kind of understand where you're coming from, Josh. Like it definitely. I think it's maybe just because it can be sort of like quieter for
Sure.
some stretches that it can sort of like blend into the background a little bit. But overall, I think this record is really great, and it is my favorite Knapsack record. But yeah, overall, really good.
Speaking of, the singer is in the band. His band after this was the Jealous Sound, right?
Yes, also a good band.
Oh no shit! I
I
didn't know that.
I often get it mixed up with the Juliana Theory.
Oof, not a good band.
No.
That is that's a rough one.
Yeah. Yes. Not the same band.
That's like being Sam Rockwell and getting confused for Sam Worthington.
Ouch.
You don't want it to happen.
No. Brutal.
Not that there's any way to confuse the two other than their names, but you still don't want it to happen. Sam Worthington. Remember when Hollywood tried to make that guy happen? It didn't work.
What was he in?
Well, I mean, I guess it technically worked. He's in the Avatar movies, but bad Terminator movie, the one where Christian Bale had the breakdown on set and like yelled at the director of photography real bad.
Yeah.
They put him in like a Clash of the Titans remake and like a bunch of other shit that just all failed miserably. But it seems like Avatar is working for him. I think that's just by virtue of like James Cameron more than anything. Like I think he just got kind of lucky with that one.
It sounds like he got lucky because I've never seen an Avatar movie. I will never watch an Avatar movie. But even I know the only name that you ever hear associated with Avatar is James Cameron and Sigourney Weaver, and that's it.
Right.
So yeah, that's
shouts to Sigourney Weaver though.
Oh hell yeah. Fucking awesome. All right.
Yeah, that Sam Worthington is probably not even in the top 3 most famous people from that Terminator movie.
No, not at all. Yeah, because Bryce Dallas Howard's like a famous director now.
Yeah, she was in it, and then Anton Yelchin was in it too. Which
man,
R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P. to a real one, man. What a good what a good actor that dude was.
And Common was also in it, apparently.
Yeah, that's right. Common was in that. I forgot all about that. Not nearly as good as his role in Smoking Aces, though. I mean, that Smoking Aces is a badass movie.
I remembered liking it when I saw it, but
very underrated. It wears all its influence. It wears all its influence on its sleeve to a fault, but it's still really fun.
Cool. You can appreciate a fun action movie, like you were saying before. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of On the Record. If you have any questions, comments, or most importantly, corrections on anything that we've gotten wrong, please email us at ontherecord@gmail.com so we can set the record straight in a future episode. We'll be back next week for an EP episode where we're going to talk about releases from 88 Fingers Louie, Snuff, because there's always more Snuff.
Dude, I love every time we get to cover Snuff, it's always a good time.
And
how many episodes was Snuff this season?
Like 5. It's like half the season.
I don't know.
I think there's 3. I think there's 2 LPs and this EP episode.
What a prolific band.
Yeah.
I don't think they're on the other EP episode this season.
Which seems like a miracle to me. No, I like Snuff. I've really come around to Snuff. Good band. And Goober Patrol, which also like
the name.
Goober Patrol. As we've said.
No. I was going to say the name of the record that we're going to talk about is awesome. The Goober Patrol record is called The 8 of Spades.
Yeah.
That is pretty great.
Well, those guys are definitely pretty funny. Man, yeah, Goober Patrol. Definitely like another surprise. I did not ever expect to be so into Vacation, but that is a great record.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you haven't heard us talk about that one, go listen to it. That's pretty good.
It's a good episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, and see you in the next one.
Later.